A lot of you probably wonder what happened to Cuba Gooding Jr., his film career. Forget all the controversy that's going on now. I'm talking about Cuba as an actor. As you can see, a lot of people don't remember his first time on screen appearance in a motion picture was Coming to America. He had no dialogue. He was just one of the guys in the chair getting his hair cut. And when we saw Boys in the Hood for the first time and we saw him, we remembered the guy in the chair because everybody watched Coming to America. Like, if you had it on tape or it came on TV, you watched it. And you was like, hey, look, that's Trey. He's in the chair. That's Trey. Now, we watched his progression as he came up in film, and we knew the talent was there from Boys in the Hood to be able to play the role of Trey, someone who's basically caught in between his friends as he knew him from kids growing up. One went towards the street life, one is, headed to college and doing good things, and that's him. And he's being pulled in two directions where he doesn't know which way to go. It's a bunch of emotional drama and a bunch of dramatic events, and to be able to have that type of range to go there in a moment's notice. That was known. That's how we were introduced to him, as he was the star of the movie. So it was basically centered around him. So as Trey is growing up and moving around and doing things in his life and all of these things like this, that's what he was known as, Trey. He wasn't even known as Cuba Gooding Jr. So imagine that. Their first introduction is, hey, Trey. Everybody knows you as Trey, and that's it. Now, don't forget, you guys can support the page when the video's done or after the video, whenever you feel like it. It's at your discretion. You can hit the Cash App up and leave me a donation. The name's Carcino in the Cash App. Or you can click the link in the description box and hit up the Streamlab. Now, many of you have asked me, what has happened to Cuba Gooding Jr.? What has happened to Cuba in his film career? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. Well, let me try to, make it make a little bit of sense. When Cuba Gooding Jr. started making films, after that movie put him on the map, he went to a whole new plateau, if you would say. He was he was picked to be in higher learning. A lot of people didn't know that. They wanted him for John Singleton wanted him for higher learning too, but he couldn't get him for higher learning. So he ended up getting Tupac to play that role because he was like, I kind of don't want to play with the same characters and do the same type of movie again. So this was way back when. He didn't want to do that. And I applaud people when they make those type of decisions. But that was a decision he made. He didn't want to be, that guy that's stuck doing the same old movie. So his next movie, he did Gladiator, when he played a boxer and everything, and he took the role real serious. And a lot of people didn't like that Gladiator movie. I mean, it was like the underground boxing world, but I understood it. A lot of people didn't like it, but I saw it and liked it, but it wasn't gonna do him any good as an actor, but it was different. So I got what he was doing at the time, and what he was doing was trying to find the right element to where he is respected as an actor, taking different roles, and it wasn't until that breakout. I'm sorry, something flew in my eye. It wasn't until that breakout in A Few Good Men when he played the Corporal Carl, what's his name, Haymaker or something like that. Once he played that role, people were like, wow, this guy could play a corporal. This guy is a serious actor, this Cuba Gooding Jr. He was doing movies and taking the right avenue to put him in the right position. Then he did Judgment Night. He did a couple other movies. But Outbreak was the one that really got him when he played Major Salt, another military role. But it was a good movie with Dustin Hoffman. It brought him out. The Few Good Men got him at the Oscars, and people got to see him. Then he did the Tuskegee Airman movie, which was huge within the black community. Then comes Jerry Maguire. So after making like 3 films, he came out, focused on Jerry Maguire, did that role. It showed me the money and everything. It took him to a whole new plateau. Got him an Oscar, and his career after that, they were like, he can write his own ticket. This guy's gonna get it. Now he had already done another film, it just didn't come out to the previous year, which was Trading Favors. So he was holding out for bigger projects even back then. He did As Good as It Gets, the crazy movie that made no sense, Where Dreams May Come with Robin Williams. And as these things are going on, he's still an A-lister, on the list. So he started to star in roles like Instinct with Anthony Hopkins. All these things are going well for him. He's married now. Things are rolling. Him and his girlfriend finally got married. They're rolling. Then there's a story that comes out about why Cuba Gooding Jr. is, he plays this guy that we see on television who's all about the brothers, but then he's not. Then it's like he's not black enough. He doesn't do this well and that well, and he's married a white woman, and all of these different things because of these reality shows. I mean, these talk shows and the National Enquirer are prying into his life and trying to make him an enemy amongst the black community. Like, oh well, he's sold out. He's not gonna do this and do that anymore. He's Hollywood now. So all of this talk comes in. So he wants to put out a movie that he wants to do, The Murder of Crows. He couldn't really find people to financially support him after all the stuff he did in Hollywood, all the abuse he was taking. He wanted to put this film out on its own. Now, this is a story we've seen before. Well, someone else wrote a book. He took credit for it, a lawyer, for his late friend's book. But things turn on him a lot quicker when someone says, I know you didn't write this book, and he's being called a fraud for writing a book called The Murder of Crows. Now, when this film came out, it was a good action thriller. Tom Berenger's in it, but he couldn't really find anyone to help him distribute the film. He had to produce this film himself. And it was just like, wow, this film almost didn't get made, and you would have thought he had more friends than this. It's like, man, dude, you have no friends in this game. So, as the years are going by, Cuba was upset over some movie roles that he wanted to get and thought he should have gotten, but didn't get, and didn't understand why he didn't get these roles. And when you are an actor such as him, and the roles that he's taken so far have been the right decisions, why would you change what you're doing? If you're doing all of these different things, you're like, well, why I'm going to change it? Everything I do has been a hit. So I want to go back to comedy to show them I could still make those type of films and go do the film with the black family and do these type of things. And I'll just wait for that perfect role. So he did this movie Chill Factor, which was one of the last films I saw with one of my ex-girlfriends. I don't want to go into that and make that on an entirely different issue. Um, but yeah, it just the movie wasn't that good. Yeah, I thought it was funny at times. It was a bit ridiculous, but he wanted to go back to do something towards the urban, you know, uh, community. Then he did Men of Honor. He did Pearl Harbor. These were his big money makers. This is the ones that's gonna pay the bill. Where he played another diver, military guy in Men of Honor. Chief Carl Brassinger. It's a true story about a black diver. So this is what intrigued him to the role. Pearl Harbor, true story. These is what attracted him to these movies. So after going through this process, a lot of things starting to change now. Big money movies are coming around, and they're asking for Cuba. Like they had the movie on Ray Charles documentary. You're gonna be up to play Ray Charles, and he was like, okay, I'll play Ray Charles. He's thinking about it, but then he's like, I don't want to do. I just fought out of the shadows of being looked at as the black actor. I don't want to do that. And they was like, well, we got three scripts. They had Hotel Rwanda on the table, The Last King of Scotland, and they had the Ray Charles thing on the table. And he was, nah, I would, but I don't. I've moved away from being the black actor, and I want to be looked at as just an entertainer. I don't want to be the black actor. I want to be an entertainer. So he was like, his agent's like, all right. And he's like, I don't play bad guys. I can't do it. I don't want to play a bad guy. Idi Amin is a bad guy, in my opinion. And I don't want to play a bad guy. I don't think black guy playing a bad guy, that's just a stereotype. And plus, people can't see me as that. I don't want to play a bad guy. Not ready for that. So, because he put himself in that box right off the bat, now people are looking at him different because he opened that box already of what he won't do. So Hollywood is like, oh, because he got an Oscar, he think he can tell us what to do. But if he didn't take that role, Ray, Jamie Foxx, we would have heard. We knew Jamie, but that blew Jamie up. Don Cheadle has been doing roles his entire life and didn't quite blow until Hotel Rwanda. So Forrest Whitaker was Forrest Whitaker, but he crushed Idi Amin. Hold on. Sorry. But he crushed Idi Amin. Crushed that role. So now, a lot of people think this is what crushed him, and Hollywood washed his hands on him and said, get out the game and all this stuff. And that's when he started doing Boat Trip and No, he was doing Boat Trip and Snow Dogs. He got paid for those movies. Like, he really got paid. The movies were bad, but he got paid. Then he went back to doing the Fighting Temptations. And, people had brought his name up for Dreamgirls. Dreamgirls was also on the table for him. The Pursuit of Happiness was on the table for him. By him turning down these movies like this, those companies and the producers said, look, this guy's trying to dictate to us what he's going to take and what he's not going to take. Oh, the hell with that. We're not doing that. So the studios wouldn't deal with him anymore. He couldn't get the type of roles he thought he was going to get, and he kept waiting on them. So since he was in the Tuskegee Airmen, they brought him back in Red Tails, which was the George Lucas version of the Tuskegee Airmen. So they brought him back in again to play that role. And his career, he could never quite get back, and unfortunately for him, it's sad to me that he never really got back to the silver screen the way he wanted to and the way he felt he should have. And when he played in he was something doing some movie. He was in Lee Daniels The Butler. Lee Daniels brought him out. Didn't know why people weren't working with him. Brought him in as Carter Wilson. He was in the movie with Jay-Z. Did the song for, what is that song? He made an American Gangster. He played Nicky Barnes, for a small role in that one. But he was active, but it wasn't the big A-list roles that he was on. He was off that list altogether, and it's sad. He was in Selma. He played Fred Gray, and Selma. He was good in that, but he's not being looked at as that starring guy anymore. And mostly now they look at him and say he's aged out. But when you turn down roles, you create a bad file for yourself. Because even though he thought he was an entertainer, he thought, no, I'm not a black actor. I'm an entertainer. I'm an actor. I didn't want to be respected. They didn't respect him. He was always going to be a black actor. No matter what, you're not going to be out of that box. And they're going to show you how much the gold trophy. And he's like, I don't want to take a movie role that's going to, you know, just be a shameness to the Oscar that I got. I don't want to disrespect the gold trophy, and make them be like, we gave this guy an Oscar, and it was like always changing for him, never satisfied. It was like, okay, all right, he could do drama, but can he be funny? Then I do a comedy, and it's like, okay, he's funny, but, can he do drama? So, it's like he's never going to be satisfied. People are never going to be satisfied with him. And he was like, he was still working. He's like, I was just working. I just wasn't on the big screen, but I was always working. I was on television shows. I did like mini series, and then I did the American Crime Story, and I played O.J. Simpson. And everyone's like, "Here comes the comeback of Cuba Gooding Jr." And I'm like, I've been working like crazy. Like, haven't they not seen me? Been working out here. So in his mind, he hadn't went anywhere. But just those decisions wiped him out. And like 2006, they were like completely done. 2005, 2006. So this was like years after Snow Dog. He still had opportunities for A-list movies. He just got a little too boastful, and he didn't understand the climate he was in. That there's some movie roles you just got to take if you want to remain at that spot. But when you're Cuba, you think I've been making all the right decisions. all the way to get to this point. Why am I gonna stop, and second guess myself right now? So through this thing, he's an actor. He's dealing with it. His wife has to deal with this too. So going through this, they've had a lot of fights, a lot of separations, getting back together. So his household was not, intact. So while he's going through all of this stuff and he's smiling in front of the public, you know, he basically, him and his wife were, they got children. It's three kids involved. It's a stressful situation when things are not going well at home, and you got to try to get your personal life, I mean your business life, back on track to where it used to be. And now you got kids, they're growing up, they don't understand why, things aren't the same as they used to be. Kids just don't get it, they don't pay bills, so they don't have any clue as to why any of this is going on. Now, we don't know what's going on in his personal life because we're not prying into it, but his wife was very unhappy at a time, and he was unhappy at a time, and people separate. And he just buried himself into working, trying to get back, but people weren't checking for him anymore. It's sad, but that was the reality that he was faced with. Now people just wasn't checking for Cuba Gooding Jr. anymore after turning down those roles. But I thought for sure he would be in Dreamgirls because of the Fighting Temptations. But they had the right people in there, you know, and it brought a lot of people up. Whenever they needed that guy, they either got Jamie Foxx, they got Don Cheadle, and it's funny, the movie that they didn't want to take, he ended up, there it was. They ended up taking it. It was plenty of movies that came out. The scripts were on there that he was up for. Yeah, it was plenty of them, man. It was a lot of movies at the time. The movie Deja Vu and the Spike Lee movie Inside Man both came out, or the scripts were out there, but Spike kind of picked his crew that he wanted to work with. But Deja Vu with Denzel Washington, that script was out there, and they decided not to deal with Cuba. So a lot of things went down during this time. A lot of things went down. Ah, man. So that's what happened to him. I hope you guys made it all the way to the end. Yep. I'm sitting here right now trying to get myself together because you would not believe how late it is. It's super late. So I'm going to try to get myself together and get out of here and see what can go on the rest of the day. Y'all have a blessed day. I'm out.